guy my wife liked, a live stream host, reached out to me. He said he had feelings for my wife and begged me to have pity on him. I did feel bad for him, so I quickly split things up with my wife and we got divorced. I even helped them get married. At the wedding, I gave him a special gift. I played my ex-wife's stomach cancer diagnosis on the big screen. Tina and I had been married for 3 years, and our relationship had always been solid. So when I saw a picture of her kissing another guy on my phone, I couldn't believe my eyes. I asked a friend to make sure it wasn't photoshopped, and slowly reality hit hard. I tracked down the guy's Instagram and Facebook using the number that sent the photo. There, he was openly flaunting his romance with Tina. Although her face was blurred, I recognized her instantly. This side dude had come knocking right on our door. I spent an afternoon going through all of his videos. He was trying to be this motivational figure online, working hard to sell snacks and run his little shop pretty well. He had been with Tina for a year. During that time, she often lied about business trips when she was really just spending time with him. They traveled everywhere, hitting up tons of popular tourist spots and managed to ruin the beauty of my country's landscapes. I was feeling pretty down, but when I glanced at the cancer diagnosis in my hand, suddenly I didn't feel as bad. Just then, my phone rang. Ben, you know who this is, right? He sounded pitiful on the phone, as frail as paper. I'm sorry. I don't mean to meddle in your marriage, but I'm sick now, and I can't keep my situation from her. I need you to help me out, man. Please have some pity on me. My low blood pressure was cured instantly. I pushed down my anger and replied calmly, how can I be sure you're really sick? You think I'm lying? I'll send you proof right now. After some fiddling sounds, he sent over his medical report. Listen, man, Tina doesn't love you anymore. Can't you just let go? I glanced at the cancer diagnosis. No anger, no anger. Not arguing with the future widow, of course. But how do I know your illness is legit? The line went quiet and tense before he finally dropped the act. I can't believe you, man. Tina always said you were decent, but I shouldn't have bothered. Believe me or not, I'm sick, and I'm not lying about it. Yeah, you don't have to swear on it. If your illness is true, saying bad things will only tarnish your reputation. Why punish you for your father's mistakes, right? How about you swear you're not lying, and if you are, you'll get hit by a car on your way out. Then I'll believe you, I said flatly. There was a gasp on the other end, followed by a long string of curses. Ben, you're the one who should get hit by a car. You useless piece of shit. You can't take care of your wife and let her hang with me, and you won't let other men do it. I hope you never find true love in 10 lifetimes. I moved my phone away slightly and started recording. Once I got enough, I sent the recording to Tina. Not too long after, Tina rushed over. Ben, I'm sorry. I didn't think he'd come knocking on our door. I promise I'll handle this. Just give me some time. I messed up because of stress. I told him not to bother you. She was full of excuses, clearly rehearsed a million times over. But the more she talked, the more anxious I felt. If that guy, Eric, hadn't been so stubborn, how long would she have kept up the act? And seriously, stress is a reason to cheat? Why, when I'm stressed, do I just end up with mouth ulcers? I couldn't listen anymore and cut her off abruptly. He's sick. Tina opened her mouth but said nothing. I forced out some tears. Tina, let's just part ways peacefully. We should get a divorce. I quickly got a lawyer, followed his advice to gather the divorce paperwork, and booked a slot to finalize things at the Civil Bureau. I handed Tina the asset division agreement. It wasn't in her favor. Out of 3 houses I was taking 2, we split the cars and I kept all the cash, funds, and stocks. Essentially, she'd only get a house and a car. Honestly, I wanted her to leave empty-handed, but I realized that would complicate things, so I compromised. Her lips trembled, fingers shook, and her eyes went red. Ben, I don't want a divorce. I know I messed up. Please give me another chance. I'll fix everything. I felt a sting in my eyes, but no matter how hard I tried, I knew I'd never fully let it go. Every day I'd be suspicious and restless. Why should I torture myself for her mistakes? Besides, karma was already at her doorstep. I wasn't sacrificing my future for her. She didn't deserve it. Tina's guilt was my best leverage for the asset split. Forgive her and drop my standards, And if I have to go for a divorce again, she'd just think nothing of it. That small bit of guilt would be gone. Is it that you think I'm asking too much in the agreement? If it's the money, just say so. No, it's not about the money. I was wrong. You can take everything if you want. I just can't let go of you. We've been together 6 years, 3 dating, 3 married. Great. If money's not the issue, sign the papers, Tina. Don't drag this out. Don't make me lose respect for you. I looked into her eyes, letting my tears fall. Sometimes a woman can put on a performance too. Under my gaze, she finally signed with shaky hands. There's a 30-day grace period. Ben, I'm waiting for you to change your mind. If you don't contact Eric for those 30 days, I might reconsider. Can you do that? Can you? Trust me. All right then, take a leave from work and let's go on a month-long trip. We'll come back after a month. Sure. Tina agreed enthusiastically. She even started discussing where we should travel and booked the tickets. But she seemed a bit restless the whole afternoon. It was as if she wanted to prove her determination but was secretly texting behind my back. I insisted, and the next day, we went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to file for a divorce. We only had to wait for the cooling-off period to end after our trip for everything to be settled. We each packed our bags. She was so passionate and thorough about everything. Just as we were about to leave, the phone rang, and her expression changed immediately. She hung up with gritted teeth. Then my phone rang. I deliberately answered. The voice on the other end was loud. Bro, please give Tina back to me. My stomach hurts so bad. I'm dying. Eric broke into a sob. Tina, my stomach hurts. I took the wrong pills. Is my condition getting worse? It hurts so much. Please help me. He was begging for help, but his voice was strong. Yet Tina believed him. Where are you? Did you call an ambulance? I'm coming right now. She was in a rush and headed downstairs immediately. I called after her. Tina. She paused, her face unusually serious. Ben, this is a matter of life and death. Don't stop me. I gave a bitter smile. Give me back the phone. She hesitated for a moment, then handed it back to me, turning away reluctantly. Ben, wait for me. I'll be back soon. I'll go sort things out with him. She entered the elevator, and the phone rang again. This time she didn't decline the call. Eric, I'm on my way. Wait for me. Don't worry. She sounded so affectionate. I smiled coldly and deleted the tweet I had posted that was visible only to Eric. Back to old stomping grounds, reliving youth. The photo was a ticket booking record. I never planned to go on a getaway with Tina to relive our past. Ever since I found out she cheated, she was completely erased from my life. But I didn't want to be the bad guy, so I let Eric take the fall. Anyway, he's up for it. I hired some temp workers to get rid of my stuff from the apartment. Things that could be given away were donated, and the rest were thrown out. Then, without looking back, I walked away with my suitcase. If I was going to play the heartbroken man, I figured I should be decisive. Just so Tina understood how deeply she hurt me, I moved into a hotel. Not long after, I saw Eric's tweet. Turns out love is the best remedy. I'll never lose you, right? This time, he blatantly posted a clear picture of Tina's face. Her affection was highlighted under his filters. I saved the picture. These would be my future moral high ground evidence. 3 days later, Tina finally called. I hung up, but she was persistent. Phone calls, voice messages, video calls nonstop. It seemed like she wanted to prove she wasn't someone who easily moved on. Someone unfaithful. Highly theatrical, self-indulging. I only see her flaws now. If she really cared, she should have controlled herself. Kept her moral boundaries intact. She sent me a voice message. Ben, where are you? Have you left? I know you're angry, but it was about life and death. Please understand, Ben, I know you're kind. I'll find you and we can go traveling. Okay? I read her message and laughed. Turns out Eric wasn't enough for her? To spite Eric and also to let Tina know the impact of her betrayal, to avoid any lingering thoughts in her mind, I decided to meet her one last time, hoping afterward we'd be strangers. I chose a cafe we used to frequent for our meeting. She arrived quickly, ready to throw herself at me as soon as she saw me. I picked up a cup of coffee, pretending to splash it. She immediately stopped, her expression changing. Ben, 3 days ago, what did you promise me? I've explained it to you. It was a life at stake. I thought you'd understand. I understand? No, I don't understand. I almost wanted to pry open her skull and pour out whatever was inside. He's okay, right? Tina stayed silent. The more I looked at her expression, the more I wanted to cry. She wasn't blind. She must have seen Eric's play. But she reveled in being loved so intensely by a man and even enjoyed the process of 2 men fighting over her, which gave her a sense of accomplishment. I'd known her for so long, yet I didn't know her head was filled with such outdated beliefs. Seems like I need some self-reflection too. You confessed to me here once. It's only fitting to end it here too. I removed the ring from my finger and handed it to her. Her eyes turned red, and she got emotional. Ben, everyone makes mistakes. Why are you holding on to mine? I've already told him, and I won't bother you again. Then what's this? I enlarged Eric's Twitter picture for her to see. Her face went pale. You failed to convince him, didn't you? Do you know what hurts me the most? Is how one call makes you go to him. When you rushed to him, did you ever think about how the abandoned me felt? Did you ever think about how you were chipping away my trust? Can you guarantee it won't happen again? Today it's a stomachache, tomorrow a headache, and something else the day after. Who will you choose then? I looked at her calmly, allowing no room for deception. Her face went white. I would choose you. Then let's prove it. I stood beside Tina, took a picture with her, and sent it to Eric. As expected, within 3 seconds, Tina's phone rang. Her face turned livid as she wanted to hang up. Answer it. I said sternly. Ben, don't do this, it's unnecessary. Then I'll leave. I answered. She grabbed my wrist and quickly answered the phone, her face full of rejection. But on the other end was a panicked voice. Tina, my heart hurts so bad. You know I have a genetic condition. He just sent me a picture, and I got so upset. It hurts, it really hurts. He sounded pitiful. Tina suddenly turned to me, angry. Ben, why did you do this? I had a hard time calming him down. I was stunned. Even though this was what I wanted, so she wouldn't cling to me when she ends up in a hospital bed. But still, it did sting a bit. I said coldly, once the cooling off period ends, we'll see each other at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Go take care of your true love. For many days after that, Tina was like a ghost, no sign of life. At first, I was a bit upset, but eventually, I grew cold and indifferent. I never thought we'd end up here, after everything we've been through as a couple. Eric's Twitter was silent too. Maybe Tina had forbidden him to post, or he didn't want to provoke me and cause trouble. Either way, it was finally peaceful. On the 29th day, I texted Tina. Tomorrow 9 o'clock, meet me at the Civil Affairs Bureau entrance. She replied quickly, don't worry, I'll be there. I snorted, drank a bottle of calming liquid, and slept soundly. The next morning, I drove there calmly. When I arrived, Tina was already there. There was a boy in a white shirt next to her. They were laughing and playing. Tina looked doting, and that kid kissed her cheek. He saw me and flashed a smug smile, then got nervous when I walked over. Quite the little actor, huh? I looked past him to Tina. Did you bring everything? Let's go. Tina's face showed a hint of guilt. Ben, I'm sorry. Just get in there. Her shocked face turned pale. I went in first and she followed. The agreement was set, no disputes. We quickly finalized the paperwork. Holding the divorce certificate, I felt a mix of emotions. Marriage certificates are red, and so are divorce certificates. The person issuing them seems to understand. Both can be good things. Shedding the past, starting anew. It's like a rebirth, really. Tina's guilt grew stronger. Ben, he needs me now. Tina, you don't need to explain. We're strangers now. I cut her off. But, for old time's sake, let me say this. You're the one at fault here. If you truly loved me, you wouldn't cheat during the marriage. If you truly loved him, you wouldn't keep him hidden. I've stepped aside, so I hope you both have a good future. That was all I had to say. Let's never meet again. I said this with elegance, and people around the bureau admired me. I could barely handle their praise. I'm a person who returns favors and grudges. Being betrayed like that, I wished for her to end up beneath the dirt. Tina didn't expect me to say this, and she felt even guiltier. She stepped forward, trying to grab my hand. I felt intense disgust. I didn't realize she was so clingy. I must have been blind back then. Luckily, Eric joined in and grabbed Tina's arm tightly, smiling. Thanks, Ben, for letting us be together. We're getting our certificate today. And by the way, Tina's giving you most of the assets as compensation. Hope you use that money well, Ben. He hinted that Tina was generous, and I was greedy. I laughed. Congratulations to you both. Tina and I earned our assets together during the marriage. She's not doing me a favor. It's me being gracious that she's not leaving empty-handed. I heard Eric's shop does well too. But influencers rely on fans. How would they feel knowing you're a kept man who insults the ex-spouse? Eric glared at me but didn't dare rebut. Tina jumped in for him. It was my pursuit of Eric. I'm sorry, Ben. Take your issues out on me. Really? Can I? I chuckled and slapped her across the face. Is this okay? Tina was stunned. She probably thought I'd stay calm and collected. But now, with the divorce certificate in hand, she can't cling to me anymore. I didn't hit her harder because I'm a law-abiding citizen, not because I'm kind. This slap is for cheating on me. Smack. This slap is for standing by him, disgusting me. I didn't make a scene because I'm merciful. I had more slaps in me. Tina gripped my right hand, her eyes cold, filled with hate. Enough. Smack. I slapped her with my left hand. Tina was utterly shocked. Eric started screaming. Are you insane? What's wrong with you? He hurriedly pulled Tina back. Staff came over and separated us quickly. I pointed at Tina, scolding her loudly. Mudmen have some fire. It was you who wanted no kids, wanted a couple's world. Now you tell me he's sick and you want a divorce? You're unfaithful, ungrateful. We're done. If you ever bother me again, don't blame me for being ruthless. That slap erased all past ties and feelings. Tina's face turned frosty. She lost all her dignity in front of everyone. She wanted to save face, maybe wait to marry Eric later. But I've had enough. Eric, let's get our certificate. Eric gently touched her face, sneering. You're lucky Tina's kind doesn't hit men. Otherwise, you'd be done for today. I laughed too. I don't stick to those rules. I hit women. Want to try? I'll send you to the hospital fast. Eric turned pale with fear. Tina shot me a fierce look. You can't even compare to Eric, not even one finger. Looking back, divorcing you was such a good thing. She didn't look back as she dragged Eric to the marriage registry office. Seriously, was she throwing shade at me? Let's see if her Eric stays the perfect husband when she's bedridden. A few minutes later, Eric made a special effort to send me a picture of their marriage certificate. I chuckled and blocked him and Tina, feeling a sense of relief. Great, the plan is halfway done. The rest depends on when they have the wedding. Tina hates me and Eric is vain. They'll probably throw a grand wedding. Sure enough, it wasn't long before friends and family started calling. Confused, asking why Tina and I had divorced. In their minds, Tina and I were still madly in love. I wasn't shy about telling them Tina had been cheating for a year, and Eric had shown up at my door, demanding I divorce her. I answered every single call, repeating the same thing. Sometimes I'd even shed a few tears for effect. After listening, people would say things like, Ben, you're so considerate. It's tough on you. Oh, you have no idea how tough it was. Later, instead of a call from Tina, it was her parents who reached out. Ben, you took most in the divorce. Tina was at fault, so we're not saying much. But you don't need to badmouth her everywhere. It's bad for her reputation. Let her be. I swallowed my anger, feeling like my loyalty was wasted on them. I was so good to her parents, like they were my own. Bought 3 sets of everything. 1 for myself, 1 for my parents, and 1 for hers. Never missed gift giving during holidays. Tina couldn't even remember their birthdays. I always had to remind her to send a card or gift. When they were sick, I was there, providing care and hiring help. Her parents once said, if Tina wrongs you, we'll be the first to stand up for you. Yet here they are now taking her side. Uncle, Aunt, I said coolly, if I'm lying, sue me for it. If I'm telling the truth, you can't stop me. If they aren't ashamed of what they've done, they shouldn't fear the talk. They got agitated. What? You're speaking like this? You hid the divorce from us and tricked Tina out of money as hush money. Now you're still bad-mouthing her? And 6 years together, dating and married, you never had kids. Do you know what people say about us? That we married a curse. If you were a decent guy, why would Tina leave you? A real man gets a woman's love. They were going on and on with their so-called wisdom. Wow, I must have picked my spouse from the relics of feudalism. I started recording, put the phone a bit away, and once the lecture was over, had a good 7 or 8 minute clip. I sent the recording to a buddy, asked him to edit out the key parts, something to save for later. His response, "You're too soft. Why didn't you just beat the lot of them?" I laughed. Why would I do that? Better keep them around to be all loving and grateful to each other. Tina's wedding took place at the best hotel in town. A mutual friend mentioned Tina bragging Eric was everything. Famous, good-looking, successful and wealthy, willing to settle down. A perfect husband. She wanted to give him the best. Sounded so devoted. New flames always outshine the old ones. Huh? On the wedding day, I went to the hotel, which was far grander and more romantic than our wedding. Back then, I didn't fuss over details, being practical about everything since we just cared about each other. If I could go back, I'd slap myself. That's what you get for being considerate, for trying to save money. Hiding behind big sunglasses, I sat quietly in a corner, unnoticed. Soon enough, the ceremony started. Tina and Eric followed the routine led by the host. Eric looked thrilled, clearly on cloud 9. Tina seemed like she was having her second wind, looking more radiant than ever. They exchanged loving words as their wedding photos appeared on the big screen. But suddenly, the photos froze, replaced by a gastric cancer diagnosis report. Tina's name was clearly displayed. Everyone was shocked. People previously focused on their food looked up, exclaiming in surprise. The hall was buzzing with chatter. The bride has cancer? Is that real? Does the groom know? If not, it's fraud. Eric followed everyone's gaze and saw the cancer report on screen. His mood shifted and he looked stormy. Tina was mid-speech, but realized something was off, turning to see the report. Her expression was priceless. Cancer? She panicked. It's fake. It's got to be fake. Someone is lying. Get it down. Quick. The place was a mess. Someone rushed backstage to find out what happened. Tina's parents were clueless and in disbelief. Eric's parents stood by his side, eyebrows furrowed in anger. It was like they forgot they were just praising the bride. The scene was utter chaos. I stood up and slipped out amidst the confusion. Later, some friends who stayed told me that the wedding barely went on. But you could tell that the bride and groom were kind of out of it. They forced smiles, but you could sense the distance and suspicion between them. After the wedding, Tina and Eric didn't even make it to their wedding night before heading to the hospital. The results were as expected. Tina was indeed diagnosed with stomach cancer. She was admitted to the hospital immediately, and Eric went back to his place. Their bridal suite stayed empty, turning into a ghost town right away. That evening, while I was out with friends eating hot pot, a call came in from an unknown number. As soon as the voice on the other end spoke, I knew it was Tina. She was angry, asking me if I messed up her wedding. I laughed. "Who are you?" There was silence for a moment before she bitterly said, "I'm Tina." I hung up. She kept calling, so I blocked the number and went back to my hot pot. But something just didn't taste right anymore. To be honest, when I first got the news about the cancer, my heart ached. I spent the whole morning looking up information about stomach cancer. I wanted to find something hopeful to tell Tina, something that would keep her spirits up. I even started calculating treatment costs, thinking maybe I should sell my house to help out. But then it was me who lost hope. Her cheating ended any sympathy I had left. Worrying about someone who cheats? I must have lost my mind. Now that she knows, I wonder what she's thinking. Does she see this as karma? It wasn't long before Eric called too, his voice dripping with hatred. "Ben, you coward. Did you force me into an early marriage with Tina just to spite you? You're cruel. I was amused. Smugly, I cleared my throat. Eric, happy wedding. No idea what you're talking about. But hey, people should be grateful. There aren't many exes out there willing to step aside so easily for the other woman. You owe me a thank you. Eric was furious. Just you wait. After what you did, I'll make sure you pay. Eric, I cut him off. You really worked hard for this. Didn't you? The title's in your hands now. Isn't it a bit shady to ditch the mediator? I hung up and blocked him too. But I never would have guessed what would happen next. Tina's parents came to my workplace. They were waiting downstairs and rushed me when they saw me. Ben, did you know Tina was sick and used that to divorce her, swiping her house and car? How can someone so young be so heartless? They caused such a commotion that a crowd formed, including some of my coworkers. A few colleagues stepped in to separate us, trying to prevent any conflict. Some tried to calm them down. Others quietly advised me to head upstairs. But I just shook my head. You can't watch out for trouble every day, only deal with it when it comes. I knew they'd kick up a fuss someday. I needed to make sure they wouldn't dare come back. I started using my phone, connecting to the Bluetooth speaker I carried with me. I bought one loud enough to drown out a shouting match. Soon, a voice from the speaker had everyone stunned. Ben, Tina just cheated. How is that such a big deal for you? Men in the past had multiple wives. Why can't a woman do the same? Don't you talk bad about Tina anymore. That house was hush money, so stop clinging to her. Stop meddling in their marriage. Tina's parents turned beet red, both angry and ashamed. I smiled. So they do no shame, huh? Those words, they're pretty ugly once you hear them back. Back then, they were probably pleased, feeling their daughter had scored big, ignoring all the good I'd shown them. Now they've realized Eric isn't reliable. They think giving me the house was a loss. Like they could have it both ways? I turned off the speaker and said calmly, you made a scene at my workplace today. If you don't leave me alone, I'm taking that speaker to your neighborhood. They grew anxious, being lifelong residents there, valuing reputation above all. Ben, if you pull that at our community, we'll call the cops. The crowd erupted in laughter. Pretty unfair, isn't it? Wreak havoc at my job without a care for the consequences. But can't take the same? Tina's parents left, fear in their eyes. Coworkers urged me to drop it, saying it's better not to stoop to their level. But wolves need to be put down hard, or they'll come again. Unless they feel the pain, they won't remember the fear. So I hired some folks, had them stationed at each of their community's entrances, playing those words on loudspeakers. I heard Tina's parents rush to squad the east gate, only to hear the west one blast at them when they got there. They hid out at home and called the cops. When the police arrived, I showed them a video my colleague recorded of those people causing trouble in front of my office building. The cops couldn't help but laugh. It was like the rulers can do whatever they please, but the common folk can't even light a candle. In the end, everyone just got a slap on the wrist and a talking to. As we left the police station, I calmly told them, I've got time and money now. If you want to pick a fight with me, I'm all in. But I'm curious, will you have time to take care of Tina then? Seeing their expressions change, they both dropped to their knees. Ben, show us some mercy. If you don't give us the house back, we can't afford Tina's treatment. Eric said he'd only stay with Tina if we got the house back to prove we could support the child. We were wrong before, too over the top. Please, for our old age's sake, help us out. We'll see you as a savior. Trying to guilt trip me? Too bad I lack that moral compass. Nobody can guilt trip me. I stepped aside and hid behind the cop, casually turning on a sound system. This time I played a shorter version of the recording. Ben, the house is your hush money. The cop couldn't help but chuckle. The two got up quickly, glared at me fiercely, and left in shame. Watching them walk away, I was thoroughly disgusted. So Eric was pulling the strings, hiding behind others and letting them do the dirty work. Not much to look at and still quite the dreamer. I unblocked Eric and Tina and sent them both a copy of today's police report. I also sent Tina a recording of her parents cursing me out. I texted, Tina, need me to make today's events public on Twitter? Tina called me quickly. Ben. Her voice was hoarse, barely a whisper. I figured she must have been through a lot. Tina had stomach issues back in college. I used to watch her diet closely. But lately, she'd been traveling all over with Eric under the guise of business trips, eating recklessly. Yet she'd call and say she was too tired, and her stomach hurt. I was always worried about her, urging her to get a checkup. Now I realize how foolish I was. This woman relished my concern on one hand and got cozy with her lover on the other. The sympathy I felt evaporated in an instant. I let out a short laugh. Tina, how do we resolve today's mess? Tina hesitated for a moment. I'll talk to my parents. They won't bother you again. Don't promise so lightly. Maybe discuss it with Mr. Eric. He said he'd only take care of the kid if I returned the house. Is the kid my responsibility? Or did Eric forget how to talk? Or do you enjoy seeing your parents used as pawns? I know. It won't happen again. Rarely, Tina didn't speak up for Eric. I guess their relationship hit a rough patch lately. Two self-centered people can align against others until their interests are threatened. Then it's every person for themselves. But does that matter to me? Tina had more to say, but I hung up. Soon Eric's reply came through. Ben, you're the reason Tina can't afford treatment. When she dies, her ghost won't let you go. No one's as heartless as you. You'll get your karma. Reading those lines, my head throbbed with anger. Wonder how Tina would feel knowing Eric curses her like this. I shot back a quick reply. No way, no way. A social media influencer with 100K followers doesn't have the cash to support a child? Need me to post a video to fundraise for you? Tina's such a great lady. Even with cancer, she deserves your care. You should really sell everything you have to treat her to match that inspiring persona of yours. I continued. I'm so envious of you too. The perfect couple with Tina. Unlike me, I've got no chance of getting cancer in my life. I'm paying for my deeds, counting the endless cash in my bank until I cried. Just don't know when I'll ever spend it all. You took my Tina, but I'm not upset. Just want you two happy. True love conquers. As I typed on, an exclamation mark popped up. Eric blocked me. Not much of a fighter trying to provoke a fight. The next few days were pretty calm. Maybe a loss in love was a win at work. I actually got a promotion and a raise. Before my old boss left, he lifted me up, saying I dared to act, think, and take responsibility. That's exactly what the company needed. I thought he might be referring to my face-off with Tina's parents. Worked diligently for 6 years, yet a fiasco earned me a promotion and raise. Never imagined it'd go that way. Unexpectedly, on the job transfer task list, I discovered Eric's name among the company's product streamers. Turned out he ran an online shop and streamed for sales. I smirked and told my secretary, "Take him off." Huh? Why? Trust me, he might cause a scandal soon. Don't let him drag the company down. The secretary, looking serious, immediately went to handle the contract termination. Eric soon called my office. He sounded cautious, trying to appease. Hello. Could you tell me why we're terminating? Is there anything I haven't done right? Please let me know, and I'll do whatever it takes. Surprising that Eric could even sound apologetic? I replied coolly, the secretary should have explained it. When you hit a 100,000 followers, we might reconsider working with you. I hung up, not wanting to waste more words. But Eric likely recognized my voice. He texted, "Is it you?" I blocked him. Later at night, my secretary rushed to call me. "Ben, quick. Look, that guy's live now, taking jabs at us." I opened the video and, sure enough, found Eric on screen, shedding tears pitifully. "Hey, do you guys know what I've been through recently? I got scammed into a marriage. My wife lied about being single. She was already married. She also had cancer, but she only revealed this after we got our marriage license. Why did she and her ex-husband conspire to deceive me? I was so good to her. Her ex even went after me and messed up my merchandise contract. How am I supposed to live now?" Eric was crying, looking all delicate and pitiful, thanks to the beauty filter. It made you want to comfort him. So many people in the chat felt sorry for him. They were calling it a marriage fraud. Just despicable. Did they just see that you were making money as a streamer and decide to scam you for cash to pay for her treatment? Definitely possible. Give us those two's contact info. We'll help you look into it. Which company was it? We won't buy anything from them ever again. Poor streamer. You can't cry like this. It's bad for your eyes. People were outraged. But one comment stood out. Here we go again, looking for sympathy. Just give me my money back. I connected with that person. They sent me a question mark. You telling me to shut up? I'll stay quiet for a 300 grand hush money. Not a penny less. I chuckled. Nope, I'm the so-called evil X. Hello there, sucker. Let me reintroduce myself. I'm Mike, the person you owe money to. After talking with Mike, I learned the whole story. Eric was just getting started with his online store. He had no money for inventory, but Mike saw potential in him and provided him with stock. The products were good quality and had a decent reputation. But suddenly, there were tons of returns. Eric always did business honestly, so he refunded them. Later, they found out that the returned products weren't the ones they had sent out. The packaging was the same, but the goods inside were swapped out. And Eric was behind it. He ordered inferior products, returned them to her, and pocketed the real product's money. Mike ended up losing 300 grand while Eric used it to start his own audience. They took Eric to court, but gathering evidence was tough and it took a long time. Aside from inconveniencing Eric now and then, Mike couldn't do much else. Mike's experience was an eye-opener for me. I analyzed Eric's sales figures closely and found out he was good at creating a facade, using a bunch of fake accounts to boost reviews. The actual sales revenue was insignificant. I guess that's why he clung to Tina. He probably realized he didn't have much of a sales talent, wasn't particularly skilled, and wasn't doing great with his hosting gig. Meeting someone like Tina, who was young, promising, and making a six-figure salary, of course he wouldn't want to let her go. He used pregnancy to tie her down. And Tina, the big fool, probably thought she was so charming, making someone fall for her like that. I chuckled coldly and sent Tina Eric's live broadcast video. I wonder what she thought after watching it. Tina quickly called me. The call was full of nostalgia. Ben, I miss you. I was completely unaffected, just disgusted. I heard she's been staying in the hospital, unable to work. Her position as VP has been taken over, and her parents are selling their house to pay for her treatment. But cancer is a bottomless pit. Even if they throw tens of thousands in, who knows how it'll end. Now she's saying she misses me, but I bet she's thinking about my money. I chuckled coldly. How do you explain Eric's video? She was silent for a long time before she replied. Ben, I might really die. I understood. Tina continued, Ben, give the contract to Eric. He's struggling too. If you can put aside the past, I'll even give you my last house, and also, can you let him go? For the sake of our past, help me one last time. Okay? I laughed in anger. You've tarnished your reputation, and now you want me to be labeled the evil ex-husband? Silence on the other end. In that moment, my heart turned cold and full of hate. I thought I had done enough to settle the score, but nope, I've hardly begun. Those jerks want me to take the fall. They're dreaming. I took a deep breath, and my words were dripping with cold malice. Tina, I was gonna let it slide because we used to be married. As long as Eric stayed out of my business, I wouldn't do anything to him. But now you've asked for it. Let me be clear. Eric's got no business handling our company's products with the little skill he has. We considered him for his audience size, but now that I know he's a lowlife with potential to blow up, sticking with him would be irresponsible. Brace yourself. If I don't see you both get what's coming, then don't call me Ben. By the way, you deserve to die. I hope you kick the bucket soon and come back as an animal in hell. I hung up and started my retaliation plan. Eric deleted all his videos in an attempt to prove his innocence. But since the day he got in touch with me, I'd already paid someone to record all his content. I asked a friend who's into editing to put together a few short, sharp videos detailing the whole saga with text explanation, making it all crystal clear. Plus, there were screenshots of Tina's chats with me, pictures she'd bragged about, and recordings of her bad-mouthing and trying to make trouble with my parents. Took 3 days to finish everything. In those 3 days, news about the toxic couple who scammed a male streamer into a marriage to fund the wife's cancer treatment was everywhere. Reporters even interviewed Tina's parents, and they admitted all the false accusations without defending me once. My phone was flooded with hate messages, to the point I had to shut it off and get a new number. Some folks even called my company, asking them to fire me. Eric got someone to call the company, sounding all smug. Eric is still willing to bring your company some business, but we just need to up our prices now. During the process, we'll make everything clear and make sure your company stays protected. But going forward, we can't coordinate with Ben. Hope you understand. The company said they'd think it over. It was clear they were considering firing me. But I've been with the company for 6 years. Everyone has seen what went down, and they all know the real story. If the company caves, that's understandable, but they'll definitely lose people's trust. Luckily, my old boss just got promoted to VP. I went straight to him, laid out my counterattack plan. He smiled, "Ben, this move is pretty bold. Don't go soft when the time comes." I chuckled, "Don't worry. If I go soft, I'm not Ben. If I don't win, I'll take all the blame. I won't let the company's reputation take a hit." He was pleased, saying, "As long as you're not distracted by feelings, go big or go home." When things reached their peak, my response video went live. The company used this as a publicity stunt, contacted some gossip bloggers, spread the video, and covered all my promotion costs. Plus, they had a team register over 200 video accounts overnight, flooding them with my video. This wave of promo totally outshined Eric's video, and the follower count skyrocketed. At the end of my video, I added a line thanking the company leadership for trusting me and not believing rumors. With such trust, I'm willing to be a fan for a lifetime. What's your company like? When you're in trouble, will they still believe in you? This hit home with many people. Countless folks, after venting about that couple, talked about how their own companies let them down when they needed support. This contrast put my company in a good light, and I went from being a nobody to a viral sensation. A ton of people wanted me to explain. After chatting with the company, we decided to do a live stream. In the first part of the stream, I explained my side of things, no exaggerations, just straight up honesty. Then, I started selling the company's products. I didn't talk about features, just described them. I was on a roll that day, felt more and more into it. The products sold out fast. When they told me I achieved the company's best sales ever, my heart raced, like I was falling in love all over again. The whole company was thrilled, excited not just about the sales record but also because I'd cleared my name. The company editor didn't take a break either, quickly cutting my sales clips to stir up more buzz, which got even more followers. Some folks even compared my video with Eric's. Mine came across as warm and elegant, while his was over the top and exhausting to listen to. Many wondered if Tina had lost her mind choosing a guy like that. It's not cool to bash one to praise another, but I couldn't help but feel a bit of pride. The company gave me a few days off to rest, but I wanted to keep the momentum going, so I teamed up with another colleague to do more live selling, hoping to solidify the fan base. If we could establish a brand for our live stream, we could save on future marketing costs and manage our platform more effectively. Eric, though, wasn't so lucky. While I was clearing my name, he confidently charged into the hospital for surgery. Post-surgery, his phone blew up with hate messages. He panicked, rushed to live stream from the hospital trying to play the victim, but the viewers were only there to bash him. His stream lasted 5 minutes before he shut it down. Meanwhile, Mike went public, accusing Eric of scamming him out of $300K, waving his ID as proof. Others swindled by Eric did the same. With pressure mounting, Eric became a public pariah. The police eventually got involved, and Eric was taken in just after leaving the hospital. Tina was furious. She called me from a new number demanding, "You want money? I'll give you money. You want a house? I'll give you a house. Why do you have to destroy everything?" She sent me a photo of herself looking frail post-surgery, hoping to make me feel guilty. I looked at the picture, a bit moved. Tina loved her appearance, always kept herself looking youthful and fresh. But now, with a shaved head, she looked pale and fragile, like a ghost of her former self. Stomach cancer can have a high recovery rate, but often it's caught too late, leaving a slim chance for survival even after surgery. Whether she'd be one of the lucky ones, who knows? But thinking she'd gain sympathy with a sad photo was naive. There's no room for mercy with enemies. Tina, I said coldly, you should have known this day would come when you supported Eric's lies against me. You didn't get it. You escalated it, thinking you'd hold a moral high ground. And you encouraged her, dreaming of negotiating terms. Too naive. You're the real culprit. You never understood people and tried to play both sides, so you deserve this karma. After a long silence, she hung up. She never called again. Eric used all his earnings from the past years to pay back creditors and went to prison for fraud. In prison, he requested a divorce, but Tina, backed by her family, refused, saying if he divorced her, he'd have to return all he took from her. Their drama is no longer my concern. 2 years later, Tina didn't make it through the cancer spreading, and she passed away. A friend sent me the location of her gravesite. I brought a bouquet of flowers and looked at Tina's photo etched on the gravestone, feeling a mix of emotions. The picture shows her from her college days. Back then, she was a good girl and I was a good girl too. We met on campus, holding nothing but pure feelings for each other and the brightest hopes. They say every 7 years all the cells in your body replace, meaning you're entirely different than you were 7 years ago. We didn't even reach 7 years. We changed completely in 6. I guess it might be because we weren't committed enough to marriage. But anyhow, once people die, debts are cleared, and everything's in the past. As for Eric, after getting out of prison, he thought the internet had no memory and tried to return to being a streamer. But sadly, people cursed at him as soon as he started, and others posted lengthy critiques. In the end, he had to find a different path and vanished into the crowd. As for me, I've been working honestly, getting promotions and raises, and I'm becoming quite well known. Many people say they enjoy my style of selling products online. Even if they don't buy, they're happy to listen to me chat. This whole experience taught me something. In the internet age, it's easy to become famous, and just as easy to get into trouble. The most important thing is not to try to use others, but to always keep a genuine heart. Don't forget where you started. Don't lose sincerity, because only then can you truly navigate a lasting path.